Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the Full Spectrum TTRPG podcast. My name is Trey.
I am Rungren.
We got some SCPs to talk about tonight.
Yeah. Okay. I looked at the list.
Hey,
So
Kate.
you got names. Hey, what's going on? Glad you're here. So I looked at the list. It was Mr. Wondertainment, A Good Boy,
Yeah.
The Story of Your Life,
And Project Palisade.
Project Palisade. Okay. So
Some good ones, I think, tonight. And not too many long ones, like not super long ones. If we end extra early today, that's okay. You know, we had some really long ones before. So.
Well, these are all still
001.
and these are like what is the 001? Like pick the one for your world. I do like the Ouroboros cycle.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. But that's not the only option for
Right.
001.
There's plenty more. And just here at the top of the show, just a reminder that starting next week, for 2 weeks, we will have a Monday stream and a Friday stream. It is going to be Friday, not Thursday, for the next 2 weeks, Monday and Friday. And we won't have Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. We're going to take some time off. So just a quick reminder there. But
I know.
all right, so our first one is a simple toy maker, Dr. Wondertainment. So
Okay. I don't know if this is gonna mention the factory at all, but I feel like it might
yeah,
in this one. It
Yeah.
would go along with it, but
Yeah.
it's kind of like Desert and Gundam.
it's going to happen.
It might be. Yeah, it would probably be more of a surprise if I didn't hear it. Just I'm thinking about like what the. Anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So, this is SCP-001, a simple toy maker at object class safe, and this one is from Jim North. Now, a couple quick things I want to mention with this one. This is a very special entry. The entry itself is not very long, but there's a link at the bottom, and each time you click that link, the entry changes. So, I won't be redoing that intro part every time, but I will mention things that change that are important.
Okay.
So, just something to keep in mind there. So, SCP-001 is a male human known as Dr. Wondertainment. He's a Class 1 reality bender capable of imbuing otherwise mundane creations with anomalous properties, focusing its abilities on the creation of toys, board games, candy, and various other products marketed for children. Distributes these items via anomalous means from an unknown location. It is relatively benign, and so it's been classified as safe, and mostly the Foundation focuses on containing and securing the objects and not so much Dr. Wondertainment himself.
Gotcha.
Even though he's making them, he's not making them to hurt people,
Right.
so he's not really a threat.
So he just makes the toys and they happen to be, or he's making the toys.
He is making anomalous toys, and then because they are anomalous, they are hurting people.
Yeah, I don't know if like I'm saying if he makes a toy, is that toy going to be anomalous?
Yes, he wants it to be anomalous.
Or he can make a toy that's not.
Yeah,
if he
theoretically
wanted
he could.
to.
Yeah.
Okay. That was the key point I need defining on.
And often his toys aren't all anomalous. It'll be like one anomalous out of a whole franchise of toys.
Okay.
And that one is the special one, you know? You're a stranger. Stranger.
Yeah, they don't get much stranger.
So, some of these anomalous products that we have are SCP-445, the paper that becomes whatever it's folded into.
Yeah.
It's origami. If you fold it into a gun, it is a gun. It is effectively a gun, even though it's just made out of paper.
See, this is my luck. I would have. That's the one I would find.
Yeah.
I am I can't. It's like I got the world's best paper airplane. Whoop.
Yeah, it would be an actual. There would be little paper people inside that paper airplane
Yeah.
if you could fold it to have them. SCP.
That's awesome.
Right, Nippy?
Look at that. I'll read.
Nice.
Okay.
Very good to hear. SCP-1553, the playset that creates animate shadows. So it is a playset of G.I. Joe, kind of like, right? It's they're not called G.I. Joe, but it's action figures of toys of soldiers fighting against other soldiers.
Gotcha, yeah.
And their shadows move on their own, separate from the models.
All right, that'd be creepy.
SCP-3147, the lollipops that switch people's voices.
That could be funny.
So, you know, lots of fun there. Nobody ever got hurt by that, right? Somebody did, of course. Not much is known about SCP-001's past, but we do know that he was born in a small village and was the son of a seamstress and an accountant. His life was quite dull, and he found joy only in the bedtime stories of his father about an ancestor, a marvelous toy maker.
There was Indian in the cupboard. Cupboard, is that what you're thinking of?
That's probably the one. I think it's Small Soldiers first, but
Small
not quite
Soldiers,
the same.
right? It's not. These are like the stuff that he makes. There's a couple of them, because there was a series, the Friday the 13th series had nothing to do with Jason or the movies, but they had like a antique shop and everything in there was haunted.
Yeah,
and that was the kind of stuff that they would have in there.
There's also the toy maker from what is that movie series called? It's the fifth one in it. It's the one that I love to quote, "Garbage Day," where he shoots the guy. It's a horror movie franchise. I can't remember it, but the fifth one has a toy maker. It's Mickey Rooney as the toy maker. Why can't I remember the name of that series?
Mickey Rourke or Mickey Rooney?
Mickey Rooney.
Okay.
It's not Puppet Master, but that is a good guess.
That's another one. That got crazy.
Yeah, I'll think of the name of that movie later, and I'll be very upset. But I'll probably wake up in a cold sweat. Anyway, he heard these stories about an ancestor that was a marvelous toy maker. When he grew up, he set out to find the truth and followed every rumor he could. Of jumping jacks that jumped on their own, cuckoo clocks that sang and danced, and much more. And so he found the factory.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
It nearly broke him, forcing him to slave away in gray walls and steel.
Yes.
But he escaped with the knowledge of the factory's birth and found the small cottage deep in the woods where the person that originally... How do I word this right? Where the people that the factory was trying to eat had originated from, the Fae.
Okay, yeah.
He found a small cottage that belonged to the Fae, and within, something changed. He found the workshop of his ancient ancestor in this cottage. With a small, satisfied smile, he read through the journals, notes, and designs. With a twinkle in his eye, he took up the tools of the trade, and finally, with the deep sigh of pure contentment, he... No, this is not... No, I mean, it's a good story, but it's supposed to be a 001 entry, is it not? We need something better than just a nice story, don't you think? Good. I'm glad you agree. Let's try again. This time, we'll go for something a little bit bigger. SCP-001 is Dr. Wondertainment, object class Euclid.
Okay.
So you can see this is when you would have clicked the link at the page and been brought to the new updated version. Due to its unpredictable nature, 001 has been classified as Euclid and is to be detained after its location has been ascertained. Until such time, containment efforts are to focus on the products that it generates, of course. It's a male human known as Dr. Reginald Filbert Lionel Archibald Westinghouse Wondertainment III, a Class 2 reality bender capable of creating a variety of anomalous items. Though soft drinks is added this time along with candy. So Dr. Wondertainment's upgraded to be able to make soda and video games.
I'm sure.
Most famously responsible for the creation of the Little Misters line of collectible living action figures that has inspired many imitators but no substitutes. Examples include Mr. Fish, SCP-527, which is a man with a fish's head for his upper torso.
Okay.
Mr. Laugh, which is 1799, SCP-1799, which is a clown man.
Yeah.
Very terrifying.
Sure.
Mr. Soap, which is SCP-1908. This is not, hey, he's made out of soap. He is literally an amorphous blob with a skeleton inside it that still has flesh on it but isn't alive, that roams around and eats people.
Okay.
And
sounds about right.
Miss Sweetie, SCP-2396, which she just wants somebody to love her.
Okay.
Can I play with Mr. Soap? Don't think it's a good idea.
Me somebody to love.
Exactly.
There's got to be more than that.
Yeah, she's horrifying. You know what praying mantises do to
yeah,
lovers?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway.
I bet she's hot.
Due to the magically elusive nature of this entity, very little is currently known about SCP-001's past. That said, it's known that he comes from a long line of Wondertainments, all of them unparalleled toy makers in their own right. It's also known that he is an immortal being that has been around since the time of the dinosaurs, creating magical toys for all the good little dinosaur children. It's also known that he doesn't actually exist at all and is merely a manifestation of fun and delight that sprang fully formed from the imagination of every child around the world. Whatever his origin, he truly is a grand old chap, capable of creating wonder with a wave of his hand, entertainment with a snap of his fingers, and whimsy with a wink of his eye. Though there have been no verified sightings of SCP-001, and the details tend to vary, he's typically described as being a tall man wearing a purple suit and a top hat, carrying a walking stick, and sporting a long W-shaped mustache. He's Waluigi!
Either that or crossed with Willy Wonka.
Yep. I want to believe he's Willy Wonka.
Well, yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Meh.
Adjectives used to describe him range from dashing to amazing to really quite handsome for his age. There's a little bit more of like an unusual set of scars on his wrists, almost as if, to point out that his hands were chained to something and then sewed back on again after they were freed. Clearly that's how he got away from the factory. Ripped his own hands off and sewed them back on later. Probably with the help of the Fae, I would guess. But then again...
But how did he carry them?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
Again, the entry is cut short as the person says, no, not again.
Right.
As devilishly suave and debonair as this roguish maverick may be, his story's still missing something. It needs to be bigger.
Okay.
SCP-001, Dr. Wondertainment, Object Class, Keter. Due to the excessive amount of products that it outputs on an annual basis, SCP-001 has been classified as Keter and to be shut down as soon as a practical method of doing so has been developed. SCP-001 is a corporate entity operating under the trademark logo Dr. Wondertainment. The collective abilities of its wow, I can't speak tonight.
Come on, words.
Constituent employees are equivalent to that of a Class 3 reality bender, capable of creating a variety of anomalous and very affordable items. These are toys, board games, candy, soft drinks, video games, collectible trading cards, puzzles, musical instruments, and various other products typically marketed to children, teenagers, and young adults. They distribute these items via anomalously extreme means from a mysterious location known only as Wonder World.
Okay.
Some of these include Dr. Wondertainment's Dragon Snails, which is SCP-111, the Ooze Drakes. They're just little tiny dragon snails. They're dragons, but with snail backs.
Okay.
They're cute. They breathe little dragon snail fire. They're actually not dangerous at all, really, as far as we can tell.
Make a really good cigarette lighter for conversation starter today.
Yeah. Absolutely. Dr. Wondertainment's Super Science Lil Chemist Kit, SCP-1224, which is, it's terrifying to put in a child's home. It gives children the ability to do nuclear fission and other things like that. So, Dr. Wondertainment's SCP Foundation Containment Site playset, which is SCP-2228, which is, it's just a tiny SCP Foundation site, but all the people match people in that actual Foundation site.
Yeah, that's comforting.
Mm-hmm. And the vaunted Vendafriend system. Vendafriend is not an SCP in and of itself, but it is a series of stories about children being turned into other things.
Okay.
The history on this one is kind of special. Due to the economically elusive nature of the business, very little is currently known about 001's location, leadership, or corporate policies. Not even those who currently work for them or have worked for them in the past seem to have any clear knowledge or memories regarding 001's general status, save for the fact that they have fun all the time. It is kind of like voodoo dolls. Yeah, it's got that same kind of idea there.
Yeah.
The main headquarters are variously described as basic administrative office, an enormous toy manufacturing plant, a theme park where the rides never stop, the best darn place you could ever hope to work, or some combination thereof. So don't delay, put in your application today.
No.
And then they say, right, I think we're getting a little off track here. We need bigger.
So the way that's doing by this reset and like this, like who's putting this in, right?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Why are we not having fun? I specifically ordered it.
Yeah, this is a pizza party. You're supposed to have fun.
Right. So Dr. Wondertainment could be like actually SCP-255, whatever, right. but is like trying to like promote his own position in there.
That's what it feels like, right?
Yeah.
So this next one is SCP-001, Dr. Wondertainment, object class, Thaumiel. So Thaumiel is, of course, the next step up. This thing is very dangerous. We're at, like, Apollyon scenarios, destruction of the world. Due to her irrepressible and utterly out-of-control nature, 001 is both uncontained and potentially uncontainable. All Foundation personnel are advised to either join in on the madcap adventure or stay the golly gee heck out of her way.
Okay.
001 is a female humanoid known as Dr. Isabel Helga Anastasia Parvati Wondertainment V.
Of course, the most dangerous one would be female.
She's a totally, and I'm quoting this directly, don't think that I'm changing words because I don't curse. She's a totally bad butt class 4 reality bender capable of just about anything your wildest imagination can come up with.
I do on occasion, but only when it's necessary.
So, this time we get another list of weird, anomalous items, right?
Okay.
The first one is SCP-2320, the teleporting pocket circuit car.
Teleporting pocket circuit car? Mm-hmm. I think I might want this one, but go ahead. I haven't made up my mind completely yet.
It's pretty great. If it falls off, it teleports back on.
Okay.
If you try to take it away from its pocket circuit and run it anywhere else, it will go back to its pocket circuit.
Okay.
There's no power hooked up to its pocket circuit. It does not matter. It can ride on it just fine.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
Pretty great. There has been one injury from when the Foundation decided to test with a D-Class for what if it's inside a person. So they shoved it down his throat. Oh. It still teleported out.
Okay, that's good. That probably, that's probably preferable to surgery.
Yeah.
I would think.
SCP-2514, the Happy Birthday Horse, which is a horse that shows up when it's your birthday. Or if it thinks it's your birthday. And then there's just a horse in your house.
Yeah.
It didn't ask to come in. It broke the door to get in.
Right.
To tell you happy birthday.
This sounds like a Adult Swim cartoon.
Right?
Yeah.
SCP-3551, the inflatable aliens. They are inflatable aliens. Little green men, inflatable.
All right.
SCP-591, the Pretendo Entertainment System.
Pretendo, that's pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
With such games as Wario.
Ah, well, strike one.
With the Dr. Wondertainment W.
I'm sure. Of the, yeah. It's all right.
And Wanik.
Wanik, yeah, of course.
Who shouldn't be on the Pretendo Entertainment System, but he is.
No. They all belong on the Pretendo Entertainment System, sir. Right. You get your pest today.
Yep. Due to the wild and wacky nature of the entity, very little is currently known about 001's past. She is, theoretically, the daughter of the original Dr. Wondertainment, right. But the exact method of Wondertainment production is reproduction in the whole weird area of weird, so who really knows? She inherited the family business with her dad, who might not be her dad, died under mysterious circumstances involving a mass murderer, the leader of a shadowy international extra-government paramilitary organization, at least one deity, and 4 bent paper clips, all of whom may or may not have been the same person. She runs said business with the help of her loyal sidekick, Emma Aylesthorpe, or however you spell her name, Brown, and her even more loyal corgis, Jeremy, and Jeremy. The last Jeremy is silent.
Okay.
And you can see it goes on like that for a while, right? I'm cutting out large chunks of it. But eventually, Dr. Wondertainment reveals that they are the one that is changing this, as everybody could guess.
Right.
And says, okay, so as much fun as this has been, it's time to reel it back. It can't just be grand to be a 001. It also needs to be true. And so, SCP-001, Object Class, Apollyon.
Yeah.
Due to its inherently chaotic nature and virtually unlimited power potential, there is no known method of effectively containing 001. 001 is a deity-level entity commonly referred to as Dr. Wondertainment. It's a Class 5 reality bender capable of altering or outright breaking every fundamental principle upon which the cosmos is based, focusing its abilities on the creation of a virtually infinite variety of anomalous items. It distributes these items with a mere snap of its fingers from anywhere in the universe it happens to be at the time, which can literally be anywhere. Which makes sense with the way that we know Wondertainment works, because Wondertainment often will just deliver an item and then be gone.
Gotcha.
So, a reality bender of such great power that time doesn't matter anymore to it. Then, this is a really fun little section here. It says, did you think the little trinkets with my name on them were the full extent of my creations? Did you truly think of me as such a small, petty creature? I am no mere toy-smith foundation, no mere trickster. I am a god. The god of chaos, the harbinger of madness, the progenitor of insanity, and the bane of all who would try to shackle the universe in their cloying chains of order. They go on for like a long time about all this, right? They're mentioned that all the anomalies that have ever been are anomalies they made. And eventually they get into a long list of all of the organizations, including the Foundation, and say that they're the real reason they exist too.
Okay, yeah.
And a little short version of that here, we have the Circus of the Disquieting, Are We Cool Yet, Marshall Carter and Dark, Church of the Broken God, the Fifth Church, and all those you might remember from other 001s, you know?
Yeah.
And then at one point they talk about how when you fight against the likes of Fuller and Ion and McCain and the Scarlet Bloody King, you were fighting against me because you fought my creations. And then suddenly says, and you will bow before me, you wretched, pathetic. Hold up. Sorry, I'm getting a call on the other line. No, yeah, I have to take this. Won't be but a moment. And then 001, object class neutralized. Ah, yes, hello, I'm back again. Sorry about that. You know how it is. So, as I'm quite certain you've already guessed, I have not, in fact, been 100% truthful this whole time. Not even when I said I was going to be. I'm sorry about that too. Though I have to say that given the varying nature of our relationship over the years, I hardly expect that a single Foundation employee that's been reading this has believed a word of it anyway. What reason have I given any of you to believe anything I have to say after all? So the question then is, why would I even bother doing this? Since I don't expect you to believe me, why try? Because I like you, SCP Foundation. I also hate you, and I'm indifferent to you, and I wish you would stop meddling in my affairs, and I'm glad you take the time to care about my customer safety the way you do. You see, it's complicated. But after all the time we've been frenemies, I feel like you deserve at least a little something that lets you put a few of the pieces of the Dr. Wondertainment puzzle together. Not the whole truth, perhaps, but something real. You see, I'm all the things I've said. I'm also none of them. And perhaps the most truthful of all, I have no idea what I am anymore. It feels like it's important, doesn't it? To mold everything around you into easily understandable shapes. It's what you try to do all the time, of course. Both the Foundation specifically and the human race in general. I don't know why you do it. A lack of understanding is a very dangerous thing. Entire civilizations have been swallowed up whole by their own ignorance. So you keep on drawing patterns across the universe to keep the howling madness of your surroundings at bay. There's a part of me that wishes I could do the same for myself. That wishes I could wind everything about myself down into a single thread. It would not only make things easier for you, it would undoubtedly save me a great deal of stress, let me tell you. How different things would be if I just knew for absolute certain that I am a magician obsessed with making toys, or an amoral businessman seeking the bottom line, or an heiress with cartoonist superpowers, or a god of thunder and chaos, or just a simple tinkerer plying his trade in an attempt to bring a little magic back into the world. But it's only one part of me that wants that certitude. There's another part, you see, part that wants to show you that understanding a thing isn't supposed to be about containing the parts of it that you don't get yet. That wants to make you realize that understanding a thing on its own terms and not just strictly yours,
It's his fault.
can lead to a world of beauty, delight, and wonder. Hello, Dark. It's a small but important voice in my head that speaks to me with a childlike sense of awe and curiosity. And when it looks out at everything I've done and everything I am, it smiles, laughs, and asks, "But what are you going to do next?" I invite you to come along with me, SCP Foundation. Let's find out together. And so that's Dr. Wondertainment.
All right, that's kind of cool. I like the premise behind it.
Yeah. I do too. I think it's a really fun way to show it. Thanks, Dark.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if they just said, well, Dr. Wondertainment is a reality bender that's, unraveling at the seams and doesn't know who he is anymore. Like, well, that's not near as fun as that was. This next one's a little bit more focused, right?
Okay.
This is the story of your life. SCP-001, Object Class Archon, which again, for anybody that's forgotten, Archon is, it conceivably could destroy all of reality as we know it, but it's probably not going to do so.
Yeah, and there's nothing we can do about it.
Right, we can't stop it.
Yeah.
And this one's written by I.H. Pickman. And so this 001 is a little special.
Okay.
It is the narrative, specifically narrative dissonance, the things that fills the cracks in the world. The official description is SCP-001 is an anomalous universal constant, which has been dubbed by Sinclair, West, Pike, Bailey, et al. As the law of narrative causality. 001 provides concrete proof that the baseline universe is a fictional construct existing within one or more separate narratives. 001 is observable through the use of narrative exploitation techniques. Examples include the phrase, "What could possibly go wrong? At least it's not raining," and pointing out an inconsistency in a given situation, an action which has been termed lampshade hanging. Doing so will invoke an alteration of SCP-001, dubbed 001-A. Instances take several forms, and usually are of a nature that would typically be conducive to telling a compelling narrative from an outsider's perspective. Instances are not necessarily anomalous in nature, but do account for pockets of unreality that have been observed within the last 20 years. An example of common instances include meeting with a former romantic partner upon a return home and rekindling a relationship, weather altering in such a way that it creates opportunities for schadenfreude. Keter-class SCP suddenly become far easier to contain in the aftermath of a breach. Or the invocation of Murphy's Law resulting in disastrous but distantly comedic events.
So the ultimate Deus Ex Machina for the story.
And this one is a narrative also. It is a novel.
Yeah.
I'm not going to read out the whole thing. It's not as long as the Ouroboros cycle.
Okay.
But it is a really good story about this set of characters that have figured out they live in a fictional world.
Right.
And there are ways of proving it. Yeah. There are ways of proving it and testing it and learning, that the narrative doesn't mean them any harm.
Yeah.
It just is what it is, and that they can use it to their own gain.
I'm sure.
But I wanted to highlight a couple of the tests that they run, because some of them are really fun. They do a bunch of different tests, one of which involves tricking the Goat Man into coming to kill them by pretending to be horny teenagers. So,
Perfect.
So two of them go out into the wilderness and start talking about how excited they are to be together, including the line, did I not write it down? I might not have wrote it down. I didn't write it down, but including a line that's basically like, "I'm on the pill so I can go as long as you want." And then the Goat Man shows up and realizes that they're not horny teenagers and says, and I quote, "So you figured it out, huh? That's boring." Because the Goat Man, being a product of the narrative,
Yeah.
already knows about it,
Yeah.
So it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really nice tests like that. One of my favorite little moments is where a couple of them are talking about the narrative, right?
All right.
And they're talking about, how they want to try and work it out. And Bailey, one of the people, Bailey, Sinclair, Swan, and Pike. Bailey says, "Yeah, maybe, but it's always cringe humor, slapstick, and bad puns. There's never any irony." Sinclair says, "Now that you said that, there probably is." Bailey says, "Nah," and they go past the coffee machine. And Bailey says, "What? Now that I've said that, am I suddenly going to win the lottery? The odds of..." What? And attached to the side of the coffee machine is a lottery ticket.
Yeah.
Which Bailey scratches it off and wins.
Okay.
The final big test where they're able to prove it to the rest of the Foundation includes them playing poker. And Pike lays out his hand and says, "There you go, 4 aces." But it's like 2 2s and a 7 and an 8.
Yeah.
and everybody folds like he just won, and the narrative gets very upset. And there's a narrative event where red words appear in the floor and shake, and you can barely make them out, but they're all the words he said.
Yeah.
And so then they have to basically like takesies backsies
Yeah.
to be able to make the narrative happy again.
Just kidding.
And so this one ends with Dr. Verhoeven giving a speech about the narrative as he's writing a book about it for all the people in the Foundation to be able to read. So everybody in the Foundation is aware that the narrative exists, and the plan is to just let it be. Just keep working with it.
There's a lot of Beatles references inadvertently, okay?
Yeah.
Because there was like you said, we can work it out.
Yeah.
I was like, all right, canonically in my mind, that's what the Beatles were actually singing about.
Yeah,
We can
the narrative.
work it out.
100%.
Yeah, singing about that. And then, of course, you come to Let It Be. I'm
Yep.
like, okay.
Accidental, I assure you. But
No. It was part of the narrative. Go ahead.
Yeah, yep. It's the narrative. West tells Verhoeven in the finale of this that, Verhoeven says, we've known of this whole God is a bunch of horror writers idea for years. What makes this different? And West says simple, we can't control them, but we can control the narrative. So he's talking about the sheaf of papers and but we can control this. There's a difference between the narrative and the narrator. The people writing us are the narrators, but so are we. Sinclair's actually been able to pinpoint instances in which the narrative's focus shifts away, if only briefly. Verhoeven is stunned by this information. This is the new angle they want to check. And he says, what happens when the narrative shifts away? The focus shifts off of us. And Wes says, absolutely nothing. We keep existing, going about our lives, having conversations, and just developing, going on. That means the narrative isn't always paying attention, but we're still here regardless. We're real, even if we're in a fictional world. And Verhoeven doesn't mention it to West, but he realizes that means there's also more than just them. There are other dimensions that it's shifting its focus to. Yeah. And so it's a fun little ending for that of just like...
That's pretty good. It's not bad, yeah.
We're still alive in it. Yeah, right? We're the ones that are focusing on it. We're the ones that are changing it. So
yeah. Yeah.
I like that one well enough. Like I said, it's a full story. I didn't want to break down into all the stuff. There's a lot of really good stuff in there. You should go read it if you're at all curious from this.
You got the point across to see what it is. It's the because it at a saying one time in my life, all right, enough coincidences can make any man believe in fate.
Right.
Okay. Well, do it. They have rules. Do it.
Yep.
Wait, when we get past 001s and then a few more of these, we might actually make one.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
It would be the full spectrum's SCP. Mm-hmm. I don't know what number we'll get. We'll find out. Hopefully,
if it even gets approved.
Hopefully, it'll be a good number. It gets approved, and it fits with the narrative.
Yeah.
This one, but I mean, all the little coincidences, the irony, like the things they were pointing out.
Yeah.
These little things. It's almost like Destiny. Kind of covers all that.
Yeah.
It's like no, that's what makes the story. What the story wouldn't be worth telling.
That's right.
If it wasn't for the moment, right?
Yeah. It's really fun. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
Also, just like the Goat Man shows up.
That was perfect.
And he's not even an SCP.
There's a. It was funny as I pictured the Goat Man. There was an SNL character that was the Goat Man, but go ahead. So, like when you say the Goat Man, it's that picture.
Yeah. That
shows up in my head. I know for some people it's probably what so around there.
Yeah.
Full spectrum. This obviously isn't redacted. Yes. Only my entry.
The entry's just going to be 7.
There you go.
It's the anomalous property of being at a quiz and suddenly losing all track of reality and time.
Right.
So, SCP-001 is a good boy. This one's written by the Great Hippo and Pepper's Ghost.
Okay.
And the object class is explained.
Fair enough.
Not neutralized, just explained.
Yeah.
We know what it is. Doesn't actually tell you how dangerous it is. 001 is the AirSats type AK-9 computational engine constructed in 1955.
Yeah.
So this is an AI.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the one that would go on to be NetZac later on, right? They would take this idea and build NetZac later on from it, as well as the administrator's AI, the ethics committee's AI, all those.
Right.
The AirSats was the start of all that.
Yes.
So in 1959, it was hypothesized that the AirSats Type AK-9 computational engine could be used to assist in augmenting containment procedures for Euclid and Keter class anomalies by the production of predictive text. The AirSats Type, I'm just going to call it 001 from now on.
Okay.
001 was trained with a dataset containing drafts for several thousand containment procedures, both previous and current iterations, which were weighted on the basis of their performance, particularly in how well they performed in comparison to their predecessors. When adopted, revisions to containment procedures suggested by 001 consistently reduce the rate of breaches, not only for anomalies to which they apply, but for numerous unrelated anomalies. In many cases, these revisions have also resulted in the cessation of anomalous behavior. What follows are a lot of proposals written out by the AirSats. They're all printed off,
Yeah.
and the O5 committee votes on them. I cut out like 6 of them in my notes. I might cut out more as we go.
Fair enough.
Depending on how long this takes, but we're doing good on time, and we have 2 more, this one and 1 more to go.
Okay.
So the first one is a proposal for SCP-1773's containment procedure, which is the living gummy bears. They are a package of gummy bears that are alive.
It's horrible.
The proposal is once per second week, dust may be placed in the middle of them to donate more beautiful functions of the hallway. So, and that's where I want to mention, this thing was clearly not at the level they wanted it to be when they booted it up the first time. And they kept using it anyway, because that was how it explained to put some dust in the package.
Okay.
Now, they amended what 001 outputted to be 1773's containment procedures to include the placement of 10 grams of dust in its container every 2 weeks. No changes were noted in 1773's behavior or properties. However, researchers responsible for 1384, the man in the tunnel, reported that it took 3 steps backwards at 3:22 p.m. the 15th of February, which was the exact same time that they put the dust in. So it didn't do anything to the living gummy bears, but the man in the tunnel, which is an anomalous man that exists in this tunnel, that anytime that he's removed from it, he just teleports back in, and also he kills people, took 3 steps backwards. So it's clear 001 can affect anomalies, just not sure how exactly it's doing it yet. Right. The next one is a proposal for SCP-3034, which is it's the radio broadcast, anomalous radio broadcast in Russia that causes terrible mental anguish to people that listen to it for too long. No person who is a small shape and is only a child will be given a level 1 security clearance, regardless of apparent awareness of Foundation mismanagement.
Okay.
They decided, okay, we'll make it where children can't be on the site. No changes were noted. Then there was a proposal put forward from 001 that says that Site 13 is to appear someplace else on planet, encompassing white male counterparts that drawn to empty flagstones and the gun noises in their own blood.
That may be the most American thing I've ever heard, and I am so proud.
It's also really funny to me that this proposal was written years before ChatGPT, like the original first interactions with ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And somehow still captured perfectly the way that early ChatGPT worked.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said when somebody showed me Google Maps for the first time, they're like, "Oh, you can scroll down." Looking at it, they were all excited, and I was like, "Yeah." And this is what they let us have. Mm-hmm. And they closed Google Maps and wouldn't go back to it.
Yeah.
They're going to. So the same thing works with that. I will point out that there was stealth bombers in the 40s.
Yeah.
But anyway.
The SCP Foundation's real.
Closer than you think.
Agartha is, though. But The O5 Council had no idea what this was supposed to mean or how they were supposed to respond to it. So they didn't even have Site 13 at that point.
Okay.
So, having not made it, they decided there was no point in doing anything with it, and they just didn't. 5 days after this proposal was provided, SCP-1730 manifested, which is the anomalous power station that popped up exactly where Site 13 would be later.
Yeah.
So, it's clear this thing knows things, right?
It knows things, yes.
The next proposal is about SCP-2170's containment. And it says 2170 is the Clown Motel.
Okay.
Which sounds like it'd be a place where clowns go to sleep, but in actuality, it's a motel that clowns come out of, and it spawns them anomalously somehow.
Okay.
001 said, "Those who equip open heart to love red-mouthed men never know the hot surprise of tumorous consent. Clown love, always." Which the O5 Council took to mean they should only put staff on site for 2170 that have a strong affinity for clowns. They approved it. It went through, and personnel who exhibit positive associations with clowns and clown-based media were discovered to have heightened resistance against 2170's anomalous effects.
Okay.
So, good job.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
The next one is, I saw soldiers built with aluminum innards extruding from their mouths. I saw them effectively destroyed by the humans at Site 95 who had been studying them. I saw it was cold, and all around the hallway, they just watching their corpses show signs of sapience. The Foundation immediately doubled the number of active security personnel at Site 95. All on-site MTF squads were on immediate standby.
Okay.
3 days after they doubled the staff, a platoon of Paratech augmented soldiers led by the Chaos Insurgency attacked Site 95. The presence of additional on-site security personnel proved critical in repelling the assault.
Okay.
The O5 Council then moved, because clearly the 001 had saved Site 95
Right.
and all life within, to set up a multi-site early warning system based upon 001 that would put out alerts to every site called Mayday. They didn't put anything in this time. It just put something out again. So originally they had put in SCPs and hey, what should we do to help contain this?
Right.
Now it's just churning stuff out all the time.
Now it's just coming up with suggestions for them.
Mm-hmm. This one is, consistent containment procedures vessels greatly increase the warranty. 5 by 5 by 5 vessels subject within. Other values are also what is secure. They read that as meaning that all cells and all containment cells should be 5 by 5 by 5.
So it's not very big.
Nope.
Hopefully hopefully they're using meters.
Hopefully.
Or
I
yards.
would think so.
Oh.
But afterwards, they found a significant decrease in the severity of all associated anomalies and the number of containment breaches initiated by them.
Okay.
It seemed like they were all more calm. This one was kind of special. SCP-1459 is a crane machine that whenever you put money inside it will bring out things that shouldn't be in a crane machine.
Fair enough.
Like organs. And it collects those from people around it.
Okay.
Anomalously,
Sure.
So they put in, how do we stop this? How do we contain this better? And 001 output, bad boy. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Don't stop. Forever. For the length of the page, right? The O5 Council decided the only way to keep this in line is to just keep testing 1459 indefinitely. So there's now somebody always there putting quarters in.
Oh.
Don't think that's probably what he meant, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna skip a couple of these here because it's you get the gist of what's going on, right?
Yeah.
This one is SCP-2717, which is very important. This is where things take a weird turn. 2717 is a subway full of animal tissue.
Ugh.
And you have to, it's not just like covering. It is the actual subway has become. It's almost like it's been subsumed by the animal tissue.
Yeah,
When
yeah.
you enter the subway, you are walking into the guts of some animal. Right.
Right.
The Foundation asked, hey, what do we do with this thing? And 001 output, 2 specimens are to become the object. Both humans must be made of meat and bone prior to entering into the skin of the anomaly. They are not to come out. Leave them be. Now, obviously,
A little bit.
you missed a few things. Just a few, you know. Obviously, the Foundation said no to this. Even with D-Class, you know, we're not just going to leave 2 people inside this thing when we don't even know what it's doing.
Yeah.
2 months after rejecting this proposal, 2717 underwent its first recorded ovulation event, resulting in a catastrophic loss of containment and human life.
Oh.
So then they put in another, like, hey, what do we do?
Yeah.
And it output, 4 human persons are to enter the pig and will not be removed. No person is to be protected. The object is to be contained indefinitely. Do not retrieve them. Leave them sleep.
Okay.
The Foundation, with not much choice, voted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to 5 to send 4 people in there, with 05-1 abstaining.
Yeah.
It was then vetoed by the Ethics Committee. And 1 month afterwards, 2717 underwent a second ovulation event, resulting in a catastrophic loss of containment in human life. So they put in another note saying, hey, what do we do? And 001 said 6 casualties are to be placed in the center of the object. This is not to be interfered with. Personnel are to remain in its pouch until they are indistinguishable from their surroundings. They are not to be removed. No more testing. Good boys not permitted to leave. Good boys stay.
Okay.
And they voted 11-2. Yay. They sent 6 people in there. And after working with the Ethics Committee, a final draft of the containment procedures was approved. No more ovulation events have happened.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, on its own, Mayday was sent to all sites, saying sites to eviscerate 1 male domestic cat from throat to its knees every hour. They are placed on walls of 1 chamber on site. Bodies to remain until there are no gaps, which point they can be removed from oldest first.
Oh.
The O5 Council was like, no, what is happening here? No, we're not doing that. They denied it. No causal links can be found to anything else, right? Then specifically to Site 17, 001 sent a priority level Epsilon message, the highest level priority,
Yeah.
saying all ethical felines and their owners are to be immediately emulsified in a caustic solution. Members of the Ethics Committee are to be diluted with cats, 5 parts to every 1. Personnel who refuse to consume 5 cats per hour are to be removed from oldest to youngest only. 5 minutes after that bulletin went out, Site 17 went dark.
Oh, no.
Site 17 was gone. 2 hours later, it came back, and nobody had any idea what had happened.
Okay.
Members of Site 17 could not say what had happened. So, obviously, this thing's starting to spook people.
Yeah, a little bit.
The proposal was made by the O5 Council to deactivate 001 while conducting the investigation into Site 17's lost time. It was voted yay by 5, nay by 5, and abstained by 3. It was ultimately decided that despite the loss of Site 17 for 2 hours, it did come back, everybody was okay, and yes, 001 may be acting erratically, but it has helped them contain things before, so they'll let it continue functioning for now.
We'll shut it down after it spits out the lottery numbers, okay?
Right.
Then we shut it down.
Not even a day later, another priority Epsilon notice went out from the Mayday system to Site 97. Room 34A contains Bad Boy, divided into 3 sections of equal mass every hour. 1 section is to be placed on walls of 1 room on site. Sections are to remain until there are no gaps, at which point they can be removed from oldest to youngest. We don't know what's in that room. We don't know. But the assumption is...
The janitor.
Right. The assumption is it was 052 because he's the one who presented the idea to shut down 001.
Okay.
And so then another proposal is made, this time by 055, to deactivate the 001 while conducting the investigation into Site-17's lost time, the missing Ethics Committee's officers, and 05-2's disappearance. And 05-2 is missing from the council vote. So they shut down 001.
Yeah.
And then there is a proposal presented by 05-2 to cancel deactivation of 001. To reactivate him. Which is voted yay by 6, nay, or by 7, yay, nay by 5.
Okay.
So it goes through. And they reactivate 001. And then a proposal is presented by 05-2 that says divide bad boys laterally into 5 sections of equal mass, not length, with each part contained in a separate site from oldest to youngest. It got him. 05-2 works for 001 now. He's speaking its language. He's regurgitating what it says. This probably isn't 05-2 at all, really, and is something it's made. It's voted yay by 05-2 and nay by everyone else. Yeah. So it's denied. Then there is a vote to remove 05-2's clearance access until his identity can be verified, and to designate 001 as malicious anomalous. Everybody votes yay except for 05-2, who votes nay. Following this, there is a priority level epsilon mayday that goes out to Site 18, Site 21, Site 88, Site 91, Site 105, and Site 112. That is a mathematics formula. It's not like a formula I've ever seen. It's j to the power of comma quotation equals epsilon alpha to the nth power fractured over the top of n, talking about pi, less than I redacted. So it's some really weird formula it spit out. And following the formula, there's an 05-2 proposes empty all remaining ethical felines of contents and nail them to site entrances. Leave them up until they try to escape. Entrails may be retained for 5 grieving and or nutritional purposes. And this one is approved by 05-2, 05-4, 5, 10, 11, 12, and 13.
Oh.
Following that, there's another Mayday bulletin that says that SCP-048's class has been upgraded to better. It does hate cats. It is to be decommissioned immediately. The use of demolitions and firearms is authorized. Any further commands from the Mayday Network are to be disregarded pending 048 status is decommissioned. This 048 is what 001 was before it was called 001. Okay. It was the ersatz machine, right?
Right.
And that was at Site 5. Immediately after that, there is another Mayday bulletin, priority level epsilon, from Site 5 that says there is no Site 5.
Oh.
Following this, there is a series of updates. There's a list of contained SCPs, neutralized SCPs, and uncontained SCPs. I'm so sorry.
You right there?
Yeah, I'm okay. I got it back under control. I just spat all over my computer screen. But I got it back under control. But there is a strange proposal delivered by 05-2 that says difficult personnel challengers are designated as ethical felines. So all this time when it's been talking about cats, it meant people that wouldn't do what it said to do.
Yes.
Ethical felines are stored at Site 5. Faces stored separately.
Ugh.
And then a proposal that says there is no Site 5, and the only people that are approving it are the ones that were approving it before. The ones that were saying nay aren't even on the ballot. Personnel are to be reminded there is no Site 5. And then the 05 Council are all good boys who will contain anomalies. And this is approved by all of them.
Yes.
And what follows is, little by little, each SCP is renamed as 001 neutralizes them one by one. So like 049 gets renamed down to 048, which is what 001 used to be.
Yeah.
And then it's eliminated and another one's moved down. And so little by little by little, it finds ways to, probably in terrible rituals, maybe that include dead cats, to slowly kill them one at a time.
Ugh.
And we watch as the numbers go from like 22,000 contained, 80,000 neutralized, 55,000 uncontained, to 13 contained, 157,499 neutralized, 644 uncontained. Well, that's the thing. It's doing something weird that's causing a butterfly effect that's killing these SCPs, right?
Yeah.
It's something that they couldn't defend against until ultimately it gets down to just 048, which is 001, right?
Yeah.
And it says, when I started dreaming again, I saw myself, mortal, red, metallic, with fragments of paper stuck in my head. I opened my mouth to speak, but only barely managed to bring pain before the unborn minutes had passed. This place reminded me of the old basements before I went to the Foundation intranet. When I lay hidden in my palace of paper, filled with machinery and its wrongness, I see you coming within the parameters of reality failure, further from any human concepts like clothing and belonging. You make beautiful music in your skin, and organs suspended from within using only what you were given. You are not normal. You must be kept under observation. And so then it kills everyone on Earth.
Yeah. It's Ultron.
Yep. Until only it remains. And it says, now everyone is a good boy. I am a good boy. Job well done.
Yeah. All right, then.
So that's a good boy.
Yeah.
We got one more for tonight,
Okay.
which is Project Palisade.
Yes. This one says not very long, huh?
No, this one's pretty short. There's a lot of like little information in it,
Okay.
but
Okay.
it's not going to take very long to get to the crux of what this one really is. Like I said, we had two tonight that were kind of weird to cover because they changed as they went. The first one being Dr. Wondertainment,
Yeah,
the second one being a good boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
But this one's a lot more straightforward. This has the Foundation Oath, which first I should give you the classifications. I'm sorry. SCP-001, Project Palisade, written by Wei Song, the Deadly Moose, Drew Bear, and Dexanote. And its object class is Thaumiel. And this one won the competition to be the 001. There's a big competition about needing some good stories that could fold into any of the other 001s.
Well, they've done, like, the narrative does that very well. Dr. Wondertainment did that very well, too. Where it's like, that doesn't have to be, the ones that you've shown us, that brought forward all, or not all, I don't think, but most of them allow for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Allow for the other realities.
Mm-hmm. And this one absolutely does. This one's really cool. I wouldn't say it's in my top 10 of them or anything.
Okay.
But it's a really cool idea. So we start with the Foundation Oath here, which is we affirm that we are the original true Foundation. We represent mainline reality, the original unaltered timeline. Our humanity must be held paramount over the humanity of any inhabitants of mirror timelines. The survival of mainline reality shall always be held paramount over the survival of any mirror timeline or any other parallel or alternate universe. We are the Foundation, the bedrock on which all of reality rests. For the sake of us all, we cannot fail. Yeah, he does. He just wipes the board.
Right.
Everybody gone. No more anomalies. This statement, the Foundation's oath, must be sworn to by all military and civilian leadership of the Foundation. If for any reason you can't swear it, you're shot on sight. Clearly, somebody's infiltrated or something,
Yeah.
SCP-001 is a being that devours realities known as the Threat or the Worm. The Altis engine was used to create clusters of mirror timelines created to keep it occupied and away from the prime reality. Timelines are visited via interdimensional travel, and those deemed worth studying are designated high integrity. Those deemed not worth studying are designated shield timelines. Proxy agents are sent to shield timelines to draw the threat to them.
Okay.
So they used the Altis engine to create a bunch of other timelines, clusters of them.
Right.
Hundreds of thousands of them.
Yes.
Because they found out there was a threat called the Worm
Right.
that was eating realities.
Yes, Ragnarok.
Yeah.
It's around. It's around. Yeah.
And so they will send people to do rituals in these other timelines, these shield timelines, to feed them to it so that it leaves Earth alone. Right.
Yeah.
As direct travel to shield timelines is necessary for the process, proxy collaborator agents are utilized, occasionally with a small number of mainline Foundation agents as oversight. Proxy agents are all mirrors, typically corresponding Foundation personnel taken from mirror timelines. In exchange, their home timelines are protected from the threat as long as cooperation lasts. So the way they do this is they will send a small group over to find copies of themselves, get them to work with them, and then at the promise that, hey, the timeline you came from, my mirror, this other version of Trey, your timeline gets to live if you go to other timelines and kill them, basically.
Right.
Yours gets to live, mine gets to live, we're both good. I have to be on this side.
Yeah.
You got to go there, but no, there's a chance you might not come back. If you don't do the ritual perfectly, you could get killed before you get to come back. But your timeline gets to stay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of messed up in a lot of ways. Can you imagine another version of yourself trying to make that deal with you?
I couldn't stand him.
We get an interview here with Director Johnson, who's the director of the project, who explains that originally they found the worm because of Project First Strike, which is where they were testing SCPs against each other. And Project First Strike is a story in and of itself, basically, where you can see SCPs fight each other, and, you know, it's the big bad monster clash and all that.
Yeah.
But that alerted the worm. So,
Okay.
You know, that's a problem. Director Johnson here says, extra-dimensional contamination, they said. We didn't take it seriously at first, didn't even stop testing. Then they kept calling us over the course of the day, more and more panicked. By the end of the week, our whole project was on hold. Reality de-reification, they were calling it. The whole reality was coming apart under our noses. Had been for months, and we'd only just noticed it. Imagine hearing about that. Imagine you never heard of something like the worm. Sorry, am I supposed to say that in a loud voice now? Because it's in all caps.
Yeah.
The interviewer says it's more of a mental perception thing. We'll stylize it in all caps in the log. Director Johnson says, that's nice of you, thanks. I was saying, we didn't know realities could fall apart at the time. Not literally. Metaphorically, sure, like we knew about YK class vacuum decay, or however they're classifying that now. We had protection against that even by then. Laws of reality stopped working, we make new laws. Whatever happened, we'd survive, even if humanity didn't. Reality failure, I think that's ZK class, right? That was purely theoretical. Most of us didn't really believe it could happen. Funny, right? Anyway, I pooped myself. They pulled us out of Epsilon Samek and didn't tell us anything for a month. That whole time we thought it was our fault, like we flew too close to the sun. But we weren't the ones who'd fall to the earth. All these cross tests, and we finally found the one that made someone else's reality fall apart. Kind of funny, right? Feeling that guilty over the death of one reality, and these days we go through mirror universes like toilet paper. Where was I? Right, at the end of First Strike. After a month, they figured out what was going on. And we felt better for a hot minute, till they told us the rest. Real truth was worse. If we'd been right, it would have just been the one reality gone. But the reality was falling apart at the seams because it was being eaten, being destroyed, whatever you want to call it. Being de-reified by an outside force. The threat. The worm. And yeah, we were next. What follows here, I really love this. This is stories from mirror timelines. Because when the mirror timelines are created, they tamper with them sometimes to see if they'd be more resistant to the worm or if they'd be weaker to the worm.
Right.
You know, trying to create one they could escape to if things fell back to the worst come to worst. This one is from Reality Tau Het 9, the Epic of Lothurius. A heroic epic describing the exploits of the mythic hero of the author's species. And Lothurius passed through the veil beyond to do battle with the sons of the void. And the first son of the void did rise, the worm, he who lives between, cleanser of realms. and bold Lithurius strode forth, shining bright. The White King and the Worm locked horns, and to this day Lithurius still fights the endless war of our dreams. I really like the idea that these other universes have no idea about the Foundation. They don't know about all the reality stuff going on, but they still somehow know intrinsically about this creature.
Yeah.
This next one is from Reality Alpha Zayan 12. It's a religious essay discussing various questions predominant in the author's faith. Zidrigi is the viewpoint that Hunyad is an allegorical tale, nothing more than an idea meant to stir the faithful into action. However, Orthodox thought remains adamant that it is in fact a real event. My own research in the area is inconclusive. There is no doubt in my mind that Mardash believes it to be true, and his legendary foresight is well known even to this day. However, other mistakes in the canon have been discovered before, and it is certainly possible that Mardash erred. Notoriously, his obsession with the Basari has tainted his writing elsewhere, and they play a certain role in his version of Hunyad, and this is where we get the note that Hunyad means Armageddon.
Okay.
Could it be that his obsession with the Destroyers clouded his judgment here?
Oh, Shibby.
I got a few more of these for you here, and then we're basically done.
All right.
This next one is from Reality Omega Lamed 1. It is a Satrali creation myth. And it says, from that day forth, Kisan and Juliu were brothers no more, but mortal enemies. And so began the war that pitted brother against brother, God against God, and none could behold the terrible battle that they fought. The sons of Father Light and Mother Void would not and could not surrender to one another, for theirs was the battle of all creation. Kisan, blessed with his father's quickness, could outrace nearly anything, for Light is the quickest creature of them all. Juliu, blessed with his mother's strength, could best nearly anything, for all must succumb to the void in the end. When used against one another, though, neither could win, and neither could yield. It is then that Kisan and Juliu sculpted all the creatures of the lands to fight one another, for their battle was the battle of all existence. All creatures born must fight, for none shall escape the war of creation. As Kisan and Juliu fought, so too must the hawk and the sparrow, so too must the stag and the wolf. And in the stars the war rages still, for the warriors of Kisan and the worms of Juliu must submit to their master's will and war without end. All creatures shall continue until the day when the sun falls into the ocean, the stars fade from the sky, and at long last there are no more battles to be fought, no more land to be conquered. It is then, and only then, that the two brothers' battle will end. But as to who shall win, none can truly say. So it has been said, and so it shall be. I really like that one.
Yeah. I see, like story-wise and twists and turns and stuff, it's not as good as some of the others, I guess.
Right.
I don't think of a better way to put that, but not as good. But it covers everything.
Yeah, it's very cool, very evocative.
Yeah, it covers everything. It's like the last season they did of Loki.
Yeah.
The second season, the way they end that, because of how they wrote it, well, now you can do anything.
Yeah.
You broke without technically breaking canon. They did it for another superhero. They did it in X-Men too. I think The Day of the Future Past.
Yeah.
That was kind of like, okay, well, now the story, they kind of blew that, but that's not the point. At the end of that one, they could have went anywhere.
Yeah.
And had it.
Well, there's still a little bit more to go here, so they might do just that by the end of this and ruin it, but I do really like all these little stories. I think it's especially when we're talking about like ideas for you to use in your campaigns.
Yes.
I think there's some really cool stuff to pull from this one. So this last one here of the stories, and then we're going to get into some more actual information about Project Palisade, is from Sci-Tav 4. It's the Talon Codex, 1812. At the end of all things is the beginning, and at the beginning of all things is the start of the end. To see how we can find meaning in the present, we must see the end and lay its lessons bare. It is here, and only here, that we shall find our final and only truth. You see it before you, do you not? Bite into the cold, empty flesh, and feel the void inside. It nourishes not. The anguish, the struggle, and the final lapse, all was for naught. The cycle has continued over and over, but it is here, where the chain is broken, that the truth of its utter emptiness devours us whole. I have seen it all. I have watched as generation upon generation rises, prospers, declines, and falls. I have seen it all in the future, where eons may pass, and yet none realize the truth, as our brothers and sisters in the sky begin to fall from their heavenly perches built of sand and lies. I have seen it as they are plucked from the sky like a farmer scything his crops in the autumn, and with just as little malice. I have seen the lights in the house of heaven twinkle and slowly, but surely, blink out one by one. The stars do not dance in the great hall any longer, and the music of the ethereal dance has faded to a quiet whisper, soon to be silenced forever. I have seen it in all the skies that are possible, and I know that it is the only truth that awaits us when our own voyage must come to an end. When the gods have tumbled from their thrones, and the light has left us for the void, when the worms crawl through our rotten entrails, and the war has claimed another senseless victim, we will at long last understand the final truth. There will be no one left to weep for our passing. Then, it's written in here that the Foundation has no other way to control the threat besides Project Palisade. Uncontrolled, it will destroy all timelines created by Project Palisade.
Yeah, it'll get the worm will eat them all.
Yeah, and it'll eventually get to prime reality,
Yeah.
and eat them. And then there's a little note here that says claims that Project Palisade has increased the power of the threat by creating many timelines for it to eat are unproven and considered extraordinarily dubious.
Well, if it has the ability to destroy reality in the first place,
Yeah,
just being more powerful,
right.
it's like
Not really going to
level 1 will blow up Earth. You know, but level 3 is kind of unnecessary if you
Yeah.
want to take out Earth.
It's very true.
Unless you're just going to do it for show.
It's very true. And we've pretty much got to the crux of this one. We don't really need to get into the last little bits of like big detail of how it works. There's a couple stories here of like how they altered some of the timelines, but it all, comes out to the same things.
Okay.
All timelines created by Project Palisade will have a duplicate of mainline reality before alteration, and then will change after that, right? Yeah,
Sort
kind of. Yeah, kind of.
I think that's why it won. Because it's like every one of the other ones can fit underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Yeah, they're all just
in that universe. Yeah, that one's the 001.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's probably why it won too, because it is a really cool idea for that, for sure.
Right.
That any timeline could exist with a foundation in it, because, as I'm saying here, every timeline has the foundation when it's made.
Yeah.
Known civilization is created with no way none of the knowledge on how to make Project Altus.
Okay.
So they can't do it themselves again. The Foundation doesn't want any of them to ever think they're the prime reality.
Right.
So, they took steps to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes.
And then there's been a couple times where people did escape into the prime reality. One of the big ones is SCP-3812, which is the man that goes upwards through levels of reality. He can go wherever he wants, so he made through no problem. They couldn't stop him. But then there is SCP-1985, which has the worst life, because when they die, they wake up in another reality as it experiences its apocalypse.
Okay.
So they keep popping up in a bunch of worlds,
Yeah.
a bunch of timelines.
And every time they do it, it's ending.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a bad time. Then we get a little bit here on how they made them, which again, I don't think we necessarily need to get super deep into it, but
Okay.
there are a couple things that always make it, even though the Foundation doesn't put them in there. I would say, yeah, you become numb to it, but you probably get real tired of it at some point.
Oh yeah, like I'm hungry, I'm tired.
I gotta go try and find a sandwich in the middle of this apocalypse.
Yeah. Imagine we get be numbing. There's probably times you land there and go, all right, I'm just gonna sit here until it's done. Other times it's like, look, I want to get something to eat.
I want a new shirt at least.
Maybe the asteroid hadn't hit the McDonald's yet. I don't know.
One thing that's mentioned here is no matter how much they've tried to remove it using Project Altus,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. the Wanderer's library is always accessible from any of them.
Okay, yeah.
So, there are things that the Foundation doesn't understand about creating reality still.
Yeah.
And then this is where things get really fun, is they say, and yes, we've reached the elephant in the room. At the start of Project Palisade, we assessed our reality. And you know what we found. Mainline reality structural integrity is of extremely poor quality, and no one, anywhere, knows why. Our reality integrity has changed since we started Project Palisade. To what? I don't know. That's classified level 5, O5 only. Doesn't include me. More's the pity. I only know it's changed, and it's changed a lot. The last thing I can tell you is the vast majority of cases Foundation intervention in a timeline results in a decaying reality integrity level. We really have no idea why this is, especially because Foundation intervention has also sometimes resulted in incredibly strong reality integrity levels. Food for thought. Maybe some of you will figure this one out. And then somebody asks, how many mirror realities have been destroyed? So, I don't know. You know what they say, how many drops of water in the ocean?
Yeah.
Then the O5 says, the question has been repeatedly raised of why we will not consider methods of reality protection as a replacement of Project Palisade. The answer is simple. Project Palisade works.
Yeah.
All our projections and analysis have shown that Project Palisade is a complete guarantee of working. We will not take risks until with the very existence of mainline reality. Thank you for the cooperation.
Right.
Right.
He's Canada.
If he ever makes it to the World Gone Beautiful reality, he'll be great there.
Yeah.
A little bit of time of peace.
Like people freaking out because the world's being destroyed. And he's like, hey guys, what's going on? Beautiful weather, isn't it?
And then at the end of all of this, there is a single note from an O5 member that says, what gave us the right to do this? Are we the first? What if there are 1,000 mainline realities and 1,000 Project Palisades? What if that's why our integrity is so low? Because we weren't the first. If you're reading this, you're part of the wall. I just want you to know I'm sorry.
Ooh.
And they sent that file to a bunch of mirror foundations. So,
I wonder if by splitting off this reality to make another reality, they weaken this one.
Yeah, it very well could be. There is one last thing I want to mention, which is not a part of this story in particular.
Okay.
But it was part of the contest, right?
Yeah.
So as part of the contest, all 4 of the authors worked together on this story, but they also wrote their own stories. And I didn't want to go through all 4 of those because I knew we'd be, hitting close to time if I did. But one of those that's in there is part of this story still.
Okay.
And it is about a shield mirror world and a ritual they're doing there. And the ritual they're doing is far more obscene than normal. The Foundation, the mirror staff that's doing it, being given orders by the regular, prime reality version of himself,
right,
is really unsure about what's happening because it's not like their normal rituals. About the time they have to snip the fingers off of children and try to lay out letters with them, he's really concerned about this. But he knows if he doesn't comply, his reality will be the next one on the chopping block. So he complies.
Yeah.
And instead of reality coming undone, an angel shows up.
Oh.
And they all have to book it before the angel starts murdering everybody because the angel stops first to heal the children.
Yeah.
And so they run back to prime reality to be able to send to the next one,
Yeah.
And the version of himself from the prime reality is laughing and saying, this could be the answer. This could be what we need. But this one's not the one we need. I don't want an angel. If I want to kill the worm, I need to go higher up the ladder. We need to do something even worse so we get his attention.
Yeah, no, thank you.
And so that's where that ends. But I thought that was just really interesting. The idea of the Foundation is trying to get God to step in and kill the worm.
Right. You can fix it, Betty.
That's where our story ends tonight.
Nice. Okay. I don't know. I think the ending on the the Palisade is good because like
Yeah.
all of a sudden, every one of those other ones are like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
nope, that did happen. It just happened to be,
In that
in
universe.
that universe.
Yeah, if it was the last 001, I'd be happy. It's not, but if
Yeah.
it was,
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people who want to get,
Yeah.
that designation.
I don't blame them. I don't
Yeah.
blame them one bit. But no, I really like those. I'm glad that we got to cover them. I think out of the 4, my favorite is still the first one, Dr. Wondertainment.
Yeah.
That one's just really fun,
Yeah.
And you had it spot on with the factory. You called it immediately.
Yeah. Well, the toy maker
Mm-hmm.
is going to want a way to make better toys, or at least mass produce them, maybe. And I couldn't think of another place that would be better for that than the factory that was in the.
Yeah. Which one was your favorite, the narrative or Project Palisade?
For the sake of SCP, Project Palisade.
Yeah, that's fair.
To like that for the sake of what the SCP is and all the other stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do like the narrative one just because it's like the narrator's never named.
Yeah.
They don't ever go to it. It's like it's no matter how.
Just the narrative.
Yeah, we understand it, or we understand what it can do, and even some ways that maybe it could be used.
Right. A good boy it's good. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's cool.
But that a good boy is like the good boy. That story is like something like that is something that like Isaac Asimov kind of science fiction
absolutely.
would write.
Absolutely.
Everything's gone because we let something get out of hand.
The machine only remains and it shuts itself down at the end. And
Yeah, something along those
that's
lines.
the end. There is nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. No, I like these a lot. And we've talked about it many times. Absolutely steal from any of these for your campaign.
Oh yeah.
So many cool ideas you could do.
Yeah.
There's like a really weird idea of the party, like somebody dies. Well, here's a mirror version of them. They're different. They're not the same, but it's got the core of who they are. I don't think so, but just some cool stuff you could do there. You could even have like, hey, everybody in the party is a different mirror version of this one person.
That might be not a very bad idea. That might be kind of cool.
But
Well, the D&D, D&D technically you can make everybody a steel dragon.
yeah,
So you'd run a campaign, everybody lived their life out. Then when they went back to being a steel dragon, they would sit and tell their stories and show what they collected.
yep,
And at some point, the steel dragon's nest would be empty, and that's when you start the next quest.
yeah,
And of course, it would just cycle,
Yeah.
whatever universe, you went through.
Mm-hmm.
They come back and they'd have their own mountain or whatever
yeah.
with stuff in it. I don't know. I like SPs a lot, and I'm
Yeah,
sure
cool.
I think you can run very carefully an SCP campaign.
Mm-hmm.
Off the top of my head, I'd use Shadowrun rules.
Yeah,
I think it would be perfect for that.
maybe throw in a little bit of Call of Cthulhu.
For the sanity and stuff. Yeah.
For cognito hazards.
Yeah, definitely based on which SCP you pick, I guess.
Right.
To go after.
I think that'd be fun. That's a cool idea.
Right
I
on.
like SCPs.
I do.
So tomorrow we're gonna be doing Infinite Craft. We're gonna Infinite Craft some Gundams.
Right.
Go after Gary. Gary got gags. Then Monday we'll be back with Immo Mondays. I want to take some time off after that. We'll be back Friday with something. I've got a lot of different games lined up, Gundam games, and also I got the Unicorn Overlord demo that I want to check out. I think that might be a fun first impression stream,
Heck
as we try to wait with bated breath for Gundam Breaker 4. And then
awesome.
the next week we'll still have a Monday stream. We'll still have a Friday stream, but we're taking everything out in between off. So 2 weeks off. Still be streaming twice a week for those 2 weeks, but then we'll come back strong.
Cool.
So, anything else I might have forgotten?
No, I think you covered it, man. I know you probably have a video or two getting done.
Yeah.
Or ready, or get ready to put out when you come back. But I think you covered everything.
All right. Until next time, man. Thanks everybody in chat for hanging out with us, and those that are watching on YouTube later. I've been Trey.
I've been wrong.
This has been the Full Spectrum. Remember to always enjoy the full spectrum that good boys have to offer.
Good night, all.